รายการประเภทนี้เป็นรายการทั่วไปสามารถรับชมได้ทุกวัย
The land here gets only 10 millimeters of rainfall per year. It comes once and it disappears for the rest of the year. To make matters worse, the dominant sand composition of the land does not allow adequate water storage, consequently cutting off the growth of plant life. For the locals, however, it appears they do not have much choice. Agriculture in these parts of the country only accommodates peanut plants and sesame as staple crops. And even for this year, the success or failure of the harvest still cannot be predicted. As for livestock, the locals must be prepared for the death of the animals at any point, because animal health services are unaffordable. The government of Myanmar had indicated that the locals here are some of the poorest in the country. This is Yenanchong Township of the region of Makwe in central Myanmar. How will the lives of the people here go on? It is a most difficult test that has presented itself. The Me Fa Luang Foundation, under royal patronage, has agreed to cooperate with the government of Myanmar to establish a project to help improve the livelihoods of the communities here. The primary goal is for the locals to accomplish a self-supporting system within a sustainable economy. The question is, what methods of development may be implemented to transform the locals' lives and to battle the grand natural phenomena with their relentless displays of cruelty.
This is Yenanchong Township, and it's in the Makwe region. It's totally in the middle of Myanmar. And as you can see the vegetation, this is a very, very dry area. We call it the dry zone. So you will see that it's very difficult for the people, the villagers who are living in this area for their livelihood. We found out that all the people in the villages are like 90% in debt. So what we did was, have a very a socio-economic baseline survey and see what we can do.
Over 70,000 square kilometers of barren land cover 58 cities with a population of 10 million. Yenanchong Township really is located on the most arid of land. The Me Fa Luang Foundation began planning towards a sustainable economy and found that the most deep-rooted problem was the barrenness of the land. Second from that is the widespread poverty. as over 90% of the households were in some form of debt. What is worse is that the debt had been generated from the most basic expenses: food, seeds, and even medical expenses. The conditions here are worlds apart from what can be observed in the neighboring countries. So, what does the Myanmar's government expect from such cooperation with the Mae Fah Luang Foundation?
While other NGOs, their way of doing is a little bit different from us. They would do for like food for work. If they want to build a road, then they would give some money or some food or rice to construct this road, or to do something, some tasks. That will solve the problem of one day or 1 week or 1 month, but not for the long term, not for the whole village, for the long term. While we are not doing all those small things, but we focus on big activities that will sustain, things that will go on even after we leave. This will be in the villages if they can maintain it, if they can sustain it, and we teach them how to do it.
Sustainability is the most important issue at hand. It has motivated Kam Ong to have spent over 6 years working in the project, especially to learn about sustainable development. The Thai public refers to this method as the King's Way. Firstly, how can the communities of Yenan Chong be persuaded that the solutions primarily lie within the people themselves?
It takes time to get the understanding, and also, like I said, the confidence, trust. Communication with the villagers is also very important. So we try to keep the communication, try to be very transparent, and try to explain to them what we are trying to do and what they need to do for cooperation.
Apart from information concerning the terrain, a clear understanding of the situation is also accomplished through the observation of social issues. It was discovered that another major problem that needed urgent solutions was the town's poisonous snake population due to the extremely arid conditions. Each year brings a large number of deaths caused by snake bites. Cobras have become major killers. Snakebite victims must be transported by cart from the village to the hospital, and travel time takes up almost half a day. Solutions are desperately needed. Not only do families suffer losses, but labor shortages occur, and consequently livelihoods are affected. Serum for snake bites was brought in to supply to 8 villages in Yenan Chong. These are the volunteers who have been trained by the project. They are qualified to educate the village locals by way of protecting themselves and in the correct use of serum. Following the introduction of serum, 84 lives in the village were saved. With the successful prevention of deaths from snake bites, the serum bank was then established. Community members willingly transferred money into the serum bank every month, especially for the funds to go towards the sourcing and storage of serum. The Seram Bank is evidence of a preliminary success which resulted from the cooperation between the volunteers and the villagers. An understanding emerged of the power that could be generated when members of the collective come together for the greater good. The urgency of the situation pushed the people to bring about their own success. However, greater problems presented themselves, such as the prolonged drought, the piles of debts that had been accumulating over many decades. Before us is a desert that expands far beyond our vision. But for them, it can be compared to a river. A river of sand. For a single pot of water, the women in the village must dig to a depth almost equal to the length of their bodies. Their livestock must also be herded across the baking sands, well over an hour's walk from their villages. This is what it takes for the livestock to get a life-saving drink of water. Although Yenan Chong receives some rainfall from the end of May to the beginning of September, the amount of rainfall here is much less than the average rainfall all over Myanmar. The desert-like landscape receives only little precipitation during the year. The most obvious effects can be seen in the agricultural conditions, even though the locals try to grow plants that require little water, such as beans, sesame, and sunflowers.
This is the major production in the country, in the whole country. Beans and pulses are produced, cultivated in this area. The problem here that we found out when we came in was that of the untimely rain. So if the rainfall is untimely and not good, they lost a lot of income. So they would go into debt. So we found out that they have been struggling in that cycle.
They yield very little produce. With such arid conditions, another major problem is the lack of seeds for planting in the season to follow. Development of the land must begin with solving the problem of groundwater sources. With appropriate methods of water storage, the adverse situation could significantly be improved. Five water reservoirs in Yenanchong were built almost entirely by the labor of tens of thousands of locals. The Me Falung Foundation provided aid in the form of materials, simple tools, and basic construction technique. Building a reservoir with bare hands is an enormous task, and yet they had succeeded. They felt the ownership of the project. This reservoir here has become a village treasure that the locals highly prize and take pride in. They intend to look after this reservoir so that it lasts as long as possible. They have set up bank accounts, especially for the reservoir's maintenance, and the locals will manage the funds themselves. With resolution to the major problems, it came time to solve the other bigger problems, those of poverty and debt caused by loans to buy seeds. The first step is to reduce basic costs. The project set up a seed bank in each village to serve as a source of seed varieties to suit local needs and preferences. These seeds are cultivated locally, and when the harvesting season arrives, the seeds can then be returned to the seed bank. The banks operated by the locals have been very, very successful due to the aid that suited their particular needs and the volunteers who carried out their duties with efficiency. Very importantly, the locals are loyal to their commitments, paying back their loans according to the terms and the agreed schedule without fail. Within 5 years, these community banks successfully helped reduce agricultural costs by the equivalence of 2 million Thai baht. Income from harvested produce goes towards everyday expenses. However, for the larger expenses, such as house reparation and their children's educational expenses, their income would be generated by livestock. The breeders in the livestock constitute the most important investment, which is why the locals previously took out loans with high interest. Given the desert-like and drought-prone environment, goats could be the answers to the eradication of poverty among the people of Yenanchong. The solution provided by the project was to set up a goat bank. Goats are loaned out. Each borrower receives 1 male goat and 10 female ones, especially so that they could launch a breeding program themselves. The contract stipulates that they must return 11 baby goats to the bank, so that they could then be loaned out to other borrowers. Now the locals do have enough goats, but the problem does not end there. Their animals get sick and die, because for 100,000 goats and cattle in Yenanchong, there are only 2 veterinarians looking after them. Training a vet takes time, but Yenanchong's problems cannot wait. The project had to train local volunteers so that they are equipped with the necessary skills to serve as community animal carers. They were trained in both theory and practice, especially so that they could care for the animals of every household within their own village. There is also a bank for animal medication. The owners pay for the medication and services so that the money can then be used to buy more medication for future use. From relying on only 2 vets, the locals now have 39 more animal carers to help out. Over the course of 5 years, the reduction of animal deaths has helped reduce the cost for the villagers, the equivalent of 59 million Thai baht. Yenan Chong has become a leading example of success in reducing animal deaths. Government officers and veterinary students came from all over the region of Makwe to take part in training and to unlock the key to this great level of success. From being the poorest township in the country, the residents of Yenan Chong now know the meaning of savings. From struggling to survive, they have now learned to cooperate and support each other. It seemed impossible at first, but it has come to pass. This is Yenan Chong, a community that has provided a higher quality of life for its members through self-reliance and sustainable human resource management.
We're still in the least developed country in the world. The general public is still in the rural areas and they have been left behind. We need to go down to the grassroots so that the whole country will prosper, the whole country will develop.
အဓိကတော့ဒီနောက်တို့တကယ်လဲခံယူထားပါတော့လူပြည့်တဲ့နေရာတွေသွားပြင်းတဲ့နေရာမှာစိတ်ထဲမှာတကယ်ကြီးနူးမြလူဖြစ်လုံးဆိုလူလုတ်ပြရတာကုသိုလ်လေးရတယ်အဲ့လိုပဲခံတယ်ရှေ့ကူကပါ2018မှာမီးရမလို့ပြောရလေအဲ့ကျရင်တော့ဒီအတစ်တာတွေသူအကောင်နဲ့မိုးစိတ်ချာမွေးရေးကြတဲ့ကြာအဲ့ကောင်တွေနဲ့ပြောင်းမလို့တော့အစီအစဉ်ရှိတယ်ခံစားတော့ဘလူခံစားတော့ကိုကအခုကြတော့အဲ့လိုမျိုးတိတ်ခံစင်ပေါ်မှာစိတ်ပူတက်လာတယ်လေခံစားရတယ်သူယောဂလေးပျောက်သွားပြီဆိုကိုကပျော်တယ်လေဘယ်လိုပဲဖြစ်ဖြစ်စိတ်ချမ်းသာတယ်ဟောငါကူးလိုက်လို့ငါစီးနဲ့ဘောနော်တဲသွားတယ်ပျောက်သွားတယ်ဆိုကိုစိတ်ချမ်းသာတယ်လေအဲဆိုကြတော့ပျော်တာပေါ့ဒီလိုမျိုးငါဒီလိုမျိုးကုသနိုင်လိမ့်မယ်လို့လည်းကိုတစ်ခါမှမှန်းထားဘူးလေမမှန်းခဲ့ဘူးဒီတိရစ္ဆာန်စိတ်ကူရမယ်ဆိုတာလည်းစိတ်ကူးထဲမှာမရှိခဲ့ဘူးမွေးမြူရေးနဲ့ပတ်သက်လို့လည်းတိတ်ပြီးတော့စိတ်မဝင်စားခဲ့ဘူးအိမ်မှာခွေးကြောင်ကိုမမွေးခိုင်းဘူးနွားရတာကိုကရာချောင်းရှိလို့မွေးရလေအခုကျတော့တိရစ္ဆာန်တွေပေါ်လဲကိုတွေကခင်တွယ်တတ်လာတာပေါ့နော်အဲလိုမျိုးလမ်းနေမှာကိုဘယ်ပဲသွားတာမုတ်စားတော့ကိုစီမှာမုတ်ကြနေတိရစ္ဆာန်တွေတိရစ္ဆာန်ကောင်ခုတ်တွေ့ခဲ့ရလေအဲလိုမျိုးတိရစ္ဆာန်တွေပေါ်ချစ်တတ်တဲ့စိတ်တွေဖြစ်လာတာပေါ့
I think in this sort of setting, in this sort of areas, I think the way that the principles that we use for development, I think it works. So I think it's the best for this, or most appropriate for this area.
The Yenan Chong project took 6 years, serving the locals' pursuit of health and happiness. The locals are now equipped with knowledge, logical thinking, and insurance against future adversity in order to carry on with their lives and empower their own communities. ประสบนิกรชาวไทยควรจะปรับปลื้มในการที่มีองค์พระบาทสมเด็จพระเจ้าอยู่หัวที่ทรงมีพระปรีชาสามารถและมีพระราชปณิธานที่จะแก้ไขปัญหาที่รากที่ต้นตอนั่นก็คือพัฒนาคนให้คนมีความเจริญให้คนมีความมั่นคงให้คนมีความก้าวหน้าตระหนักรู้ใช้สติและก็ใช้เหตุใช้ผลและก็สร้างภูมิคุ้มกันให้กับตัวเองเพื่อที่จะหลีกเลี่ยงปัญหาต่างๆที่พึงจะเกิดขึ้นไม่ว่าจะเป็นเรื่องของการความระส่ำระสายทางเศรษฐกิจการล่มสลายของสภาพแวดล้อมหรือปัญหาความขัดแย้งอื่นๆที่จะนำมาซึ่งคุณภาพชีวิตที่ด้อยลงที่ต่ำลงถ้ามีคุณภาพถ้าทรัพยากรมนุษย์ได้รับการพัฒนาถ้าเราตระหนักในศักยภาพของเราและพัฒนาศักยภาพนั้น ให้ไปสู่ระดับที่สามารถที่จะช่วยตัวเองได้เนี่ยนี่คือทางออกนี่คือทางรอดนี่คือวิถีแห่งพระราชาจริงๆ